Good afternoon and welcome back to another Screencastify. Today we're going to talk about area and perimeter of rectangles and squares, or as I have in the title, area and perimeter of squares and rectangles. So we're talking about area and perimeter. So let's first take a look at a square. Okay, we'll pretend that's a square. We know squares, all sides are the same length. So we'll just say that this square has a side of 4 inches, which means this side is 4 inches, and the side opposite is 4 inches, and the sides adjacent to it are 4 inches. In other words, every side is 4 inches. So if we're looking at area and perimeter of squares, it's pretty easy to start out with perimeter, right? Because perimeter is just that outside edge as you go around the square. So perimeter is going to equal 4 times the side. So 4 times the side, or, the side times 4. So then perimeter is going to equal 4, in this case, times 4 inches. So the perimeter is going to equal 16 inches, right? It's just how far is it from like this corner right here to go around every side until you get back to where you started from. That's all perimeter is, right? It's like starting at the edge of like the house and just walking around the outside edge of the house. How far is it around the house? That's perimeter. In this case, since all sides are equal, we can figure that out by just multiplying 4 times s. Pretty simple. So let's take a look at the area. Let's take a look at the area. Now, area we're talking about obviously is that part inside the square, right? Area is the inside part of the square. And so area equals side squared. In other words, we could take any side, square it, and we would have our area. So in this case, we would take area. We know the side's 4 inches, right? So we put that in parentheses so that we can square that up here, right? And squared, we know what squared means. Square means 4 times 4, right? Because that's what square is. It's how many times you're multiplying a number by itself. That's what that exponent's telling us. So area equals 16. And not only did we square the number, we also squared the inches. So inches squared. Okay, so if you're looking at a square and you want to find the area, all you do is you take one side and you square it. And it's always going to be, area is always going to be in square units, whether it be centimeters, whether it be feet, whether it be miles, or in this case, inches. Okay, so area equals side squared. Pick any side, they're all going to be the same. You're going to multiply it, you're going to square it, which means to multiply it times itself. Okay, so that's how you find the area and the perimeter of a square. So let's go ahead and clear this. Okay, and so now we're going to look at a rectangle. Well, first thing we want to do is what's the difference between a rectangle and a square? So a rectangle, the difference is it has 2 sets of congruent parallel sides. And that's really fancy talk for saying that, one side is 8 centimeters and then one side is 4 centimeters. And since we're saying that they're parallel, which means they go along each other, so parallel lines are lines that go in the same directions and they never touch each other. They don't slope or anything. They're just perfectly straight lines, right? Parallel sides. And congruent just means they're the same size. So if this one's 8 centimeters, that means this one up here is 8 centimeters. And if this one's 4 centimeters, this one over here has to be 4 centimeters. Let me get rid of this on the bottom down here because we don't need it. So how are we going to find the perimeter and the area of this rectangle? Well, we always start with perimeter because perimeter is the easiest, right? So perimeter, we know that, okay, so 2 of these sides are 8 centimeters. So we're going to have 2 widths plus 2 lengths, right? So W width, L length, right? So we're going to have 2 widths and 2 lengths, which means perimeter is going to equal 2 times 8 plus 2 times 4. Okay, which means again, so what is that really going to mean? That means that perimeter equals 16 plus 8, or the perimeter equals 24 inches. Again, you can look at it this way. It's 8 plus 4 is 12. 8 plus 4 is 12. So all the way around 24 inches. And remember, when we're doing perimeter, that's always single. Oops, sorry. That's centimeters. Don't let me mess up. I usually use inches, but today I'm using centimeters. So that's 24 centimeters. Okay. And again, how did I get it? It's just the outside edge. I started down here in this little green corner, and I just went up, across, down, across, 4, 8, 4, 8, 24 centimeters. So perimeter, pretty simple. Let me get rid of this and give me some someplace to write area. So now, area, again, is this part inside here, right? That's what the area is. It's the inside part. And so area equals length. So that's a small L times W width. So it's area equals length times width. And the way you're normally going to see it is they're going to say area equals length times width. And they're just going to put them next to each other. So it's going to be an L and a W. That's length and that's width. So area in this case equals length is 8 centimeters times 4 centimeters. Okay, and we're going to multiply those together. Area equals 32 centimeters. Now, not only did we multiply 8 times 4, we also multiplied centimeters times centimeters, which gave us centimeters squared. Now, sometimes people ask me, what do you mean by centimeters squared? Well, you see each one of these little boxes here? Okay, like that box, and that box, and that box. Those are square centimeters, right? Well, they can be if I make them smaller, but we don't really need to do that, right? So these are squares, right? They're either square inches or they're square centimeters. And all that 32 centimeters squared means is that if I go inside of here, I'm going to have 32 little boxes inside of here, because that's what area is, right? It's that inside part. So how did I find the area? Well, I use this L, length, times W, the width. Area equals length times width. And it's just two different ways of showing it. One with the multiplication symbol and one when you just put them next to each other. They mean the same thing. And then you have area equals 8 centimeters times 4 centimeters. So 8 times 4, 32. And you know what? We can always use a calculator, right? Please, 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 please remember, you don't have to memorize the formulas. That's what formula sheets are for. You don't have to do the math in your head. That's what calculators are for. So when your parents see you sitting at the table with a sheet of paper that's the formula sheet, or have one on your computer, and you have a calculator, or you have a calculator open on your computer, and they go, what are you doing? You're not allowed to use a calculator. You have to do that math. Just let them know, no. We can use a formula sheet and we can use a calculator. Not only can we, our teachers definitely want us to. Okay, so anyway, you guys have a great day. I hope this tells you a little bit about area and perimeter. And